What's up, Lindas? Today I'm going to be recapping the semi-finals of Drag Race Brazil Season 2 Pin-Up Pairs. The queens walk back into the workroom after the double Shantae, and the only two happy about it are the ones that got to stay. Now, do you guys remember what I said last week about how good it would be if this episode had a double elimination to combat the two double Shantaes we've had this season? Well, we get one, just not for this week's episode. I'll touch more on that later. So it's a new week in the workroom, and Ruby is feeling on top, literally. She is now the only queen in the competition with 2 badges. However, Melina Blay reminds her that the last queen with 2 badges, Adora Black, went home. So basically, don't get too comfortable. At that moment, Drag Queen enters the workroom looking like a raver girl. She announces that for this week's mini challenge, the queens will be locked up. They have 15 minutes to get into quick prison drag realness. They receive a message from Norvina of Anastasia Beverly Hills before being handcuffed by the pit crew. And they basically have to turn on the waterworks and be as dramatic as possible whilst getting their mugshot. Melody Queen is by far the most dramatic. She is literally carried upside down, squealing in a high-pitched voice. And sure enough, she ends up winning her 4th mini challenge of the season. So for this week's maxi challenge, the queens will be making over members of the pit crew. And the theme is Pin-Up Girls. And I swear to God, if Ruby Knox ends up being crowned, she will officially be the horniest winner in Drag Race history. As the winner of the mini challenge, Melody gets to pick her partner and pair up everybody else. The pit crew members take to drag like a duck to water. They strut the workroom in heels and breastplates, living their best lives. In the walkthrough with Drag Queen, Melody reveals that she has never put anybody in drag before. In fact, she has no drag daughters or drag mother of her own, and she credits Drag Queen as her first actual drag mother, which was cute. And obviously, this was an edit for what was to come. Speaking of Melody, I love how excited she got when she learned that Melissa Bianchini was going to be the guest judge for this week's episode. It makes sense because Melissa is an iconic Brazilian trans queen, and she's literally one of my favorites of all time. On Elimination Day, the pit crew members open up about coming out. Ruby's partner even says he dated a girl once just to get his dad to talk to him again. That is so sad. It was nice to get some more vulnerable moments with the pit crew. That doesn't happen very often. But Ruby continues to be a little hoe bag, draping herself over the hot menses. So on the main stage this evening, we have Drag Queen. And I know that I say every week that I love her in a black wig, but she ate this look up. We also have Dudu Bertolini, Bruna Braga, and extra special guest judge Melissa Bianchini. And I'm so sorry, Lena Galore, but this was my winner for Italia Season 3. Category is Pinups Makeover, and I gave my top 2 to Ruby Knox and Stony Knox, crediting Drag Stan here on Instagram. They had a storyline, they had a reveal. This look was the cutest by far. And if I'm being honest, I didn't like any of the other looks. So it's time for the judges' critiques, and no one is safe. First up is Belky and Josie Furtado. Dudu says there's a great resemblance between the two and they're very beautiful. However, Belky's look is better than her partner's, and I agree. This was my least favorite look of the night. Belky could have kept what she was wearing and given her partner a similar color palette, maybe some metallics, some darker fabrics. The bright primary colors confused me. Next is Melina Blay and Selena Blay. They loved the Brazilian references and the makeup. They also felt that Melina showed a lot of care toward her partner. Now, I'm personally not a fan of these looks, but that's just because I don't like red and brown together. That's just a personal preference. Next is Ruby and Stony Knox. As predicted, their package is the best of the night. It was the most pin-up of the 5, and the judges say they sold the family resemblance well, even if there was some incestuous flirtation going on. Now we have Poseidon Drag and Posey Gaga. Dudu says that they loved the vision and the looks were really well balanced. They were fun to watch and they gave off a sisterly vibe. But I also don't like this look, I'm so sorry. I felt like it was a bit busy, especially the bottom half, and I don't like Poseidon's wig. I think she just would have looked better in a black wig than a sort of red burgundy wig. Last but not least, we have Melody Queen and Vox Queen. And they are in the bottom for a rough makeover. Now, I didn't realize how questionable it looked until we saw her partner up close. And this makes sense given the edit we had earlier in the workroom where Melody said she's never painted anybody before. Melody breaks down on the main stage after hearing Melissa Bianchini's critique because she feels embarrassed being in the bottom in front of her idol. Greg tells her to never refer to herself as a failure. In Untucked, Melody says that she feels like she's going home tonight, but not before putting up a fight. Back on the main stage, Ruby Knox gets her third win of the season. She is the first queen to be inducted into the grand finale. Poseidon Drag and Melina Blay are made safe, making them the second and third queen to be inducted into the grand finale as well. And what a turnaround for them from last week. This leaves Belky and Malushi Queen to battle it out. They lip sync to Jato Sexy by Fat Family. This was a really great performance from both of them. I saw it going either way. However, Malushi Queen gets to stay, and we say goodbye to Belky right before the finale. I'm really glad Malushi made it. She was in my top 3 pre-season. I do feel bad for Belky though. She was crying a fair bit on the main stage. And so, my friends, next week is the grand finale. Are you Team Ruby Knox, Team Malushi Queen, Team Poseidon Drag, or Team Melina Blay? Personally, I am Team Ruby Knox. I'm fairly certain she's going to win, and I'm fine with it. As mentioned earlier, the double elimination that I was hoping for will happen in next week's episode. 2 queens will be cut before the final lip sync for the crown. Look, at least we got a double elimination one way or the other. But as always, let me know what you thought of this week's episode, and who are you rooting for to take the crown? Give me all the tea, and I'll see you next week when we crown a winner.